positive.
Insanity.
All I do is win.
The Insane Asylum, baby.
Go Jeremy Lin.
All I do is win. I mean, we winning games, and you know that's my favorite right now.
I like Linsanity, you know, because that's what it is right now. It's just really madness right now around New York.
I like Jeremy. I like Jeremy. Another creative one might be Super Nintendo, because I played that growing up.
Lindarella story. Stay tuned. Number 17,
Jeremy Lin literally came from nothing to greatness in just a couple of games and generated a global sensation known as Linsanity. Lin was born in Los Angeles and raised in Palo Alto. Lin loved basketball since the very beginning, and he was the best player on his team. Even though with all that talent, he didn't get into his dream school, Stanford and UCLA, so Lin was forced to go to Harvard with no athletic scholarships. At Harvard, his success continued and he quickly became a star on the team. In his tenure at Harvard, Lin broke all sorts of records. After Jeremy Lin graduated from Harvard in 2010, he unfortunately did not get drafted in the 2010 NBA draft. Lin was forced to join the Dallas Mavericks Summer League, and after the summer season with the Mavericks, Jeremy Lin signed with the Golden State Warriors. But the Golden State Warriors, after the 2011 NBA lockout, waived him. Within 48 hours though, the Houston Rockets picked him up. At Houston, Lin never got a chance to play, and after 12 days, he was waived again. The New York Knicks picked him up 2 days later because they desperately needed a point guard. After that, the head coach of the New York Knicks decided to give Lin one more chance, and during that game, the Linsanity era was born. Jeremy Lin's story to fame is an inspiring story of courage, perseverance, and determination.
The 6'4" California Player of the Year could pass, shoot, and was incredibly fast. But when it came time to look at colleges, not a single Division I program came calling with a scholarship.
Not one Pac-10 team.
No.
Not UCLA, not Stanford, your hometown.
No.
What do you think they didn't see?
Well, I think the obvious thing is, in my mind, is that I was Asian American, which is a whole different issue. But that's, I think that was a barrier.
When you say because you're an Asian American, what is that? But there's
Naturally.
nothing about being Asian American that doesn't give you the ability to play basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a stereotype.
Jeremy Lin was the first Asian American basketball player, and someone with that title always gains a lot of attention. Because he was Asian, many times coaches and scouts overlooked Jeremy Lin. He was forced to the bench and barely got any playing time. Lin did not get the same opportunities as other basketball players of his talent would receive, because most coaches saw his skin color to judge how he played and did not see his talent level. However, after his big success at Harvard, he was ready for the NBA, but was not drafted by a single team. Jeremy Lin always criticized his discrimination as being a big barrier for him to get a fair chance in the NBA. Above all, Jeremy Lin was a target of racial stereotypes, ignorant fan comments, and a negative perception of Asians' athletic abilities. This type of racism shows that the game of basketball is not ready for a player from a different background. The coaches, players, and fans are not accepting of basketball players that are from different backgrounds, because those players challenge their norms.
When I was growing up, I was playing in the AAU tournaments. We would play in games, and a couple times people would be like, yo, take your ass back to China, or like, you're a Chinese import, or whatever.
Yeah, I've always said if I was black, I would have gotten D1 scholarship, but that's my personal opinion.
Well, he's an Asian kid. He's an Asian kid, and he's not 7 foot tall, and you don't see a lot of Asian point guards making it in Division I basketball. Such a simple kind of thought, but was the thinking.
When I got to college, it just like got crazy. It was just like, you chink, can you even open your eyes? Can you see the scoreboard? Just like crazy stuff. Not just be like, dude, like what is going on?
Being in the spotlight brought Jeremy an inevitable byproduct: attention, both positive and negative.
I mean, people look at basketball players in terms of race. A lot of times, basketball is not considered an Asian sport here in America. Be playing on the road, specific gyms in the Ivy League, and they would yell racial slurs to him.
He's handled everything very well, as you said, unflappable, but if there is a chink in the armor, where can Lin improve his game? A chink in the armor. A chink in the armor.
Nice build, he's got long arms, that's what you need as a point guard, and he's really, I mean...
What about his eyes?
He's great. He has great court vision.
Take away the Lin puns. This is what you end up with. Amazing. Now, is that even legal?
Jeremy Lin, yes, that's real. Jeremy Lin coming out of a fortune cookie.
This whole thing has shown how unprepared we were to deal with this culture in this context.
Floyd Mayweather and Jeremy Lin tweets. All the hype is because he's Asian. Black players do what he does every night, don't get the same praise.
First of all, what he said, I think, is racist. Not only can he compete and make it in the NBA, the guy's tearing it up and is breaking records, you knucklehead.
Check it out. He does the math to win. Yeah.
For many years, we've had many stereotypes about Asian Americans, and now they're all kind of coming out like there's no big deal. They are a big deal.
Now, with all the talk swirling around Lin, some of the discussion has gotten racially charged. We've seen derogatory comments from Fox Sports' Jason Whitlock and ESPN.com. The bottom line is, the kid's a great basketball player, and race has nothing to do with it. As the New York Post says, he's Amazing.
Jeremy Lin represents only one example of discrimination and racism in the NBA. His example shows that even though America is desegregated, racism and discrimination still exist and is a huge problem. And that's why Jeremy Lin was a target by many media outlets, fans, and other players. Jeremy Lin and his experience with the game of basketball shows that basketball is still in need of change and needs a broader outlook.
Stunning recorded comments rattling the NBA. The longtime owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, Donald Sterling, is under fire for allegedly making racist remarks about African Americans. TMZ released a recording that it claims is Sterling fighting with his girlfriend, seen here with him in this photo. He allegedly says he doesn't want her associating with African Americans at Clippers games. And he takes issue with a picture she took with Magic Johnson.
Nothing more to say.
And I took a picture with someone I admire.
Good.
And he happens to be black, and I'm sorry.
I think it's nice that you admire him. I know him well, and he should be admired. And I'm just saying that it's too bad you can't admire him privately. And during your entire life, your whole life, admire him. Bring him here, feed him, him. I don't care. You can do anything. But don't put him on an Instagram for the world has to see, so they have to call me. And don't bring him into my games, okay?
Well,
then, if you don't feel, don't come to my games. Don't bring black people and don't come.
Do you know that you have a whole team that's black that plays for you?
Do I know? I support them and give them food and clothes and cars and houses. Who gives it to them? Does someone else give it to them? Do I know that I have? Who makes the game? Do I make the game or do they make the game?
And just a few moments ago, upon entering the court for pregame warm-ups, the unified statement from the Clipper players wearing their warm-up shirts inside out, so the word Clippers are not across their chest. A statement apparently made regarding the racist comments allegedly made by owner Donald Sterling on a tape that was released by TMZ on Friday, and it's all anyone discussing and anyone thinking about here at the arena.
It's been less than 1 month after the Clipper sale ended Donald Sterling's ugly downfall, but now another NBA team is on the market following a racially charged disclosure from its owner. Atlanta Hawks co-owner Bruce Levinson said yesterday he's selling his controlling interest in the team. This is because of an inflammatory email he wrote 2 years ago. Levinson said he wrote the email in an attempt to bridge Atlanta's racial sports divide. He wrote in the email that the black fans kept white fans away.
In the summer of 2014, Donald Sterling's comments rocked the NBA and brought the game of basketball to an all-time low in regards to the racism issue. Donald Sterling's attitude and comments against black players gives evidence that racism in the NBA is still in existence. Just 2 months after the Donald Sterling case, the Atlanta Hawks owner came under fire for making racist comments on an email he sent out 2 years ago. Sterling and Levinson both display the personal hostility that is still present towards African Americans, and their comments illustrate the hidden influence of harmful racial stereotypes. This is a new type of racism in the NBA and can be very harmful because it reflects a deep-rooted bias towards other minorities. This type of racism is especially troubling because it presents itself at the corporate level of a franchise, and because these owners make a lot of decisions about their franchises, they can limit the opportunity given to players of different backgrounds.
Long before we ever played basketball in the local gym, even before the NBA, the rules of the game were quite different, and so was society, but the faces haven't changed. There were dozens of all-black basketball teams that played during a period known as the Black Fives era. It lasted from 1904, the year the first all-black team played, through 1950, when the NBA integrated.
The NBA has a long history of racial discrimination, and the roots can be traced back to before the foundation of the NBA, called the Black Five era. In the wake of the merge of the National Basketball League and the National Basketball Association, team owners owned the arenas and blacks were not allowed into the arenas unless they were playing on their teams. Owners also came up with unwritten rules, like only 2 black basketball players allowed per team. With only 11 teams in the NBA at that time, only a mere of 4 black basketball players played in the NBA in the 1950s. Also, many basketball players were drafted by the teams but were cut by the teams, and this type of discrimination and racism within the NBA destroyed the careers of many great players. The 4 black players that did have an opportunity to play in the NBA were not allowed to shoot the ball into the basket. They were just on the team for a little more than appearance, and were expected to pass the ball and get the rebounds. To be a professional black basketball player in the early days of the NBA was very tough and required a lot of strength. Black players faced everything from the referees turning a blind eye to hard fouls and were targets of violence and abuse by other white players and fans. This disturbing treatment did not get better until the 1970s, as more black basketball players joined the NBA. As this video presents, racism and discrimination in the NBA has never truly gone away. The only difference between the past and the present is the type of people being discriminated against. In the past, African Americans were discriminated against playing the game of basketball and were targets of many racist remarks. Now most discrimination is targeted towards other minorities that don't fit the norm of a typical basketball player. In the past, basketball players were not given the same opportunity to play the game of basketball and were forced to play in the Negro leagues and had to play in the segregated facilities. Now, even though the segregation in this country has long been extinct, many other minorities are faced with the same dilemma that the black players faced more than 50 years ago. They are not given equal opportunity that a player that is white or black would get with the same talent level. In case of Jeremy Lin, because he was Asian, he was not given the same opportunity that a black player or white player would get with the same talent level. Times have changed, but the past and present examples of discrimination in the NBA have stayed the same. The only thing that has changed is the people who the racism and discrimination is targeted at. The problem of racism and discrimination in the NBA is a real problem and needs to be addressed immediately. So with the help of all basketball fans, please share this video to everyone who is an avid fan and wants to make a difference in the game. Let's bring awareness to this troubling problem and help bring an end to this problem.